Make a start for us.
Afternoon, Brendan. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mark. Okay.
Brendan, after the disappointment of the weekend and the manner in which you lost the game at Bournemouth, and now the dust has settled, have you had the chance to look back at the game, reflect, and have you seen a positive reaction from your players in training?
Yeah, we obviously spoke after the game. We were bitterly disappointed with the result, especially having played, so well in the first half and under no real threat. And even at the start of the second half, even though we were under a bit of pressure, we were still strong. But then we gave away obviously two very quick goals, and with the sending off, it changed the sort of momentum in the game. And of course, we weren't happy with the end result. But we spoke afterwards, and there's one thing about this group is that they're a very humble group, and like I say, they're always willing to learn. And it was such a shock for me after the game because I've never seen that in the team. However, it's something that we got over very quickly. And like we said at the beginning of the process, whether we win, lose or draw, you can never be derailed by any result in this period. We just have to move on to the next game. And that's what we've done. Players really positive today, and now we're looking forward to the challenge.
We've seen this week the change in Manchester City's European future, which will obviously affect the mentality of those clubs at the top of the Premier League, because initially everyone thought it might be a top 5 to get into the Champions League. Now that ruling has come through, how much will that change the dynamic of those teams chasing the Champions League placings?
Well, no, I think what you'll probably find is that media-wise, there was a lot said and written about it. But I think football managers and players they've just been concentrating on finishing as high as they possibly can. You can only really guarantee yourselves how you finish and how you work, and that's what football clubs and managers would have been doing. So for us, we have 3 games to go. What an incredible position that we're in. Teams have gone throughout the season until this point differently. Some, like ourselves, we right through till Christmas we were fantastic, and probably since that we've been a little bit inconsistent. However, we're still in an incredible position in amongst these super clubs to try and achieve that of getting into the top 4. But whichever way we'll finish this year, we'll hopefully finish in what may well be the second highest position of a Leicester City team in the top flight. So for us, an exciting challenge. The players that were very much there on merit, and now we have to go into just each game and take it from there, because there still will be twists and turns within it, I'm sure.
You said after the Bournemouth defeat that you didn't think your side were anywhere near Champions League quality. Do you still feel the same way?
In the performance that we showed in the second half, then absolutely. But I think what we've shown over the course of the games, the talent that we have, and all of this is all a learning experience for the players and for myself working with the players. And like I say, we didn't show that mentality. However, I've commended the players right the way through the season, because it was a game that was not natural for us. The one thing that this team can do is dig deep at times. We've been beaten by the better teams at times this season in Sheffield United, with Liverpool and whatnot. But there's lots of games where we've had to dig deep and get the result. So for me, it's about always finishing as high as we possibly can. And like I say, our next game, despite whatever result we had at Bournemouth, if we would have won at Bournemouth, it wouldn't have mattered. We would have had to have won this game, the next game. So that's our focus.
Up next, you've got Sheffield United, with the pressure looming from those teams all chasing you down to get into the top 4. How defining could this game be?
Well, no, like I said, it's a game that we've always earmarked that we have to win. And I think that obviously the results over the course of the weekend, I think it showed you where the fluctuation and the roller coaster that the league is. But for us, there's no change. We've had a disappointing result and second half performance. So we have to move on from that. And that's the type of mentality that we've always had. Disappointment, we put it to bed, and now we've come back in really positive and with a real strong mindset to go and get a result. And like I say, the destiny is always with us. That's what we rely on. And if that's our case, then we're happy to accept that responsibility and pressure and look to take that into the next game.
How impressed have you been with Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder and what he's achieved with his side? Would you say he's been the Premier League manager of the season?
Well, Chris, he's certainly up there. And I know from first-hand experience, from coming up with Swansea into the Premier League, the challenge that it is coming into this level. So to get the team not just tactically and technically ready for there's a big onus on giving players where they've come from and their journey, the confidence and the mentality to succeed at this level. That's a huge part of it. And so for me, Chris has done an absolutely brilliant job. They've had that momentum coming through from League One and the Championship, but they look very, very good. This first season in the Premier League, they fight, they run, but they also play with quality. And I've been very impressed by them. And listen, we knew from early on in the season when we played them, when they had their first win, we went there and we knew they were going to be a tough side because we played them early on and seen the problems that they can cause you. So now he's done absolutely brilliant.
Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers, Mark.
Hi, Brendan. Can you hear me? It's Lindsay.
Hi, yeah.
Hi, Brendan. Would you mind? I've just been asked. Would you mind just moving a touch over to your right so we can get you centre screen? Is that okay? That's it. Lovely.
Better.
That's much better. Thank you. Can I start by asking you about SayonshuShu and how you've dealt with him and that red card post the match?
Yeah, I've spoken with him. It was obviously a lack of discipline that we don't want within the team. In fairness to Cags, he's how he's managed his temperament and because of the type of defender he is, he's been first class all season. So that was something that I didn't really see coming, and I think for him himself as well. He was in the net. He was sort of pushed into the net, and I think it was just a reaction, as opposed to a sort of behaviour that you see a lot. He controls his emotions very well in the game because I asked him to be aggressive and on the front foot. But it was just one of those things that obviously cost us. But he'll learn from it. He's been outstanding for me all season, so he'll learn going forward.
Speaking of emotions and going into these final few games of the season, you're now the hunted side. And I don't know how you feel about being in that hunted position. I know that you've been in the position before where you've hunted down positions in the Premier League. Mentally, how are you going to adjust with the side for that?
No, listen, we've been up there for most of the season, so there's no drama. There's always pressure. It's dealing with that. And for us, it's just that game at a time, focus. I think that we've said it. It's a period where there are results that will differ and change. And obviously, the weekend we didn't get the result that we wanted, but we're still in this incredible position because of the work that we've done throughout the season. And for us, it's just about keeping that consistency. I think that we've been probably a little bit up and down. We've played really well, like we did against Bournemouth in the first half, really controlled but aggressive and looking to attack the game. And then second half, not so good. We've had that since we've come back, probably in too many of the games. So for us, it's just about, we've got to stay calm with it. That's very, very important. They're all big games, but you can only concentrate on the next game and think of the performance. So if we can do that, then that'll allow us to hopefully be in with a better chance of winning.
We spoke to Mark Albrighton this morning. He said that the performance against Bournemouth was a one-off and it won't happen again. Can you be confident of that too?
Yeah, I think I have great trust in the players here, because they give everything, absolutely everything, and we don't want that performance to affect these final 3 games, and I believe it won't. I think it'll actually be the reverse. I think we'll use it as a great guide for us and a great learning experience to grow and become better, because like I said, we fell well below the level that we would have wanted in terms of our reaction, and like I say, we've actually got no better moment of that than playing against Sheffield United, and actually looking back to our first game when we were there. What we've proven a number of times this season, but especially against Sheffield United, we played really well in the first half up there, and then came under pressure in the second half and had to deal with that, and we ended up winning the game. So we have a moment that we can look back on, and it's that type of mentality that's needed going into these final games. And then, like I say, we'll finish where we're due to finish, and we accept over 38 games. Wherever we finish, that's where we deserve to be.
Finally, from me, any fresh new injury news or team news that you can share with us?
No, we obviously still assessing game by game, Ben and James. So again, we'll leave it to the last moment just to see how they both go. But question marks, of course. Mark Albrighton picked up a knock, so again, we'll see how he is tomorrow. And obviously, we're without Kagler, so that's a blow for us. But we'll adjust and adapt and put out a team to hopefully get the result.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hey, Brendan, hope you're well.
Yeah.
Clearly, the targets over the next 3 games will be to win all of them. Simple question, I know, but I'm trying to ask a bit of a broader question here. What do you want to see over the next 3 games, and what are the other targets? Not just about winning.
Now, for me, it's always been about our performance level. I think that's always been the concentration. I've talked consistently about that since I've been here. We've got to where we have over this last year and a bit because of our process. And it's important that we trust that process and continue with that, because when we do, we've shown we have a blueprint that wins football games, and in a style that we want. And okay, listen, we're missing some very, very creative players within our game. However, we still have to look to find the ways to win. And for me, it's just about showing the consistency of performance, having that courage to create, which is very important. And I think in the second half against Bournemouth, we didn't move well enough in order to get on the ball, in order to create. So that's something that we've looked at, and we'll look to take that forward into the next games. So, like I say, you cannot worry about where you're going to finish, because that will be determined by how well you play and how well you can work. So that's what we'll focus on. Playing with that intensity and that joy of the game, of which we played most of the season with, and not to overthink it.
Now, you've been accused of maybe playing it a bit safe or being negative maybe in how you've changed your team at half-time with the substitution. Have you learned anything about how you may look to use your substitutions in future? Should the onus maybe be on you more as a team rather than be a little bit concerned about the opposition, especially when you did play well first off?
Yeah, I think last week when I was here, I was told I used the substitutes the best in the league or something. Someone said, or we've the most impact of subs, and obviously a week later, I'm too negative. So no, I made the change. Obviously, we're playing a lot of games. You have to remember in a short period of time, and primarily throughout the season. Kelechi's been an impact player for us. He's either played an hour in the game, or he's come in to the game and played 45 minutes, half hour to great effect. So it wasn't necessarily a negative substitution. However, it's something that I'll always go on the feel of the game, and obviously you're judged otherwise. But yeah, that's how football is. You And 1 week ago, we were making the best changes, and now in one game we don't make them. So, but it's okay. It's I'll continue to analyse the game and see where I think we need to obviously improve our performance.
Now, sometimes here the phrase Leicester are punching above their weight is used in certain sections of the media, and they shouldn't be too down about, going on an inconsistent run of form or losing a few games, being fourth in the table, whatever it is. I mean, I even hear presenters and pundits on TalkSport, my own radio station, say it as well. Do you sometimes find that tone maybe slightly patronising towards the club, or is it a fair assessment? Are Leicester punching above their weight at the moment?
Well, listen, I think that, if you look at the clubs that's below us and around us, I think it's safe to say we have ambition here, but we also were realistically optimistic in terms of we understand the super clubs and that's around us, So yeah, I think we've always had ambition, but are we as big as some of these other ones? And of course, I think our honest answer is no. However, we'll always look to find the solution in our coaching and in our work, and for us to be up there challenging, that's where we want to be, irrespective of size of club and history of club. So, no, I can understand why people would say that, but it doesn't change my thinking either way. I've come in here with the ambition for us to improve. I believe we've done that over this last year and a half, and so from 12th position when I came in to be fighting for a Champions League place has been absolutely an amazing process that the players have gone through. And if it doesn't happen this year, then okay, we go into next year with the same ambitions to finish as high as we can. But we're certainly going to fight right to the very end, and like I say, look to perform and see where we can finish.
Last one from me. I remember speaking to you after the defeat to Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup at Villa Park about turning that experience into a positive. Given the defeat at the weekend, going into these final three very tough matches, what makes you think that defeat at the weekend can be turned into a positive?
I think for the three tough games, but they're obviously three tough games for the opposition that we're playing as well. So for us, it's all learning experiences and coping with that, and that is and you have to go through it, and we've certainly gone through that in these last few months. But I've got absolutely no doubt about the squad and their ability and the willingness to want to be better. And like I say, you can't be derailed by the defeat the other day. That's how we've always approached the games. You get the likes of Man City can lose as many games as they have, then surely we can do that as well. But we know that after a defeat, we analyse it and we aim to be better in the next game. So we never get too down about it. So we have to continue with that mantra, and that's what we've done this week, getting ready for Sheffield United.
Thanks, Brendan. The very best of luck on Thursday. All the best.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks.
Leicester, please.
Hello, Brendan. Hope you're well.
Hi,
I just wonder whether, clearly you have a very young squad, and it's something that you've spoken about a number of times. I just wonder, after a defeat like the one we saw against Bournemouth, how the approach might change with a younger squad to dealing with it in the following days, maybe compared to a more experienced squad.
It doesn't change so much. I think you certainly that the more experienced players have gone through the process more often. But I think the approach is still very much the same, whether you're a senior player or a young player. The players need the support. After the game, we were direct in our message and our thoughts on the game. But I'm always one where I never carry that forward. Once it's done, it's done. These players performed incredible for me, and since I've been here, and what I seen in the second half was something that shocked me really, because I had not seen that sort of reaction before. But it's something that the very next day when we come in, we're back on it again. We're focused. We say what we had to say, and and we move on. And that's the game. That's the nature of elite sport at this level. You cannot dwell on a negative, because football can change so quickly. But you just got to ensure that you support the players and continue to give them clarity. And then our process then takes us into the next game, and we look to, like I said, our blueprint has shown that when we work to the level, and we have to be at the very highest level to win games, to be up at the top of this table. If we can do that, then we can hopefully continue to do that through to the end of the season.
With that in mind, I wonder the response that you might have seen from the senior players this week in training and in and around the training ground as well, and how important that might be heading into the final three and three final games that are very tough in this Premier League season. Yeah,
it is important. Like I said, it's important for us as coaches and manager and the senior players. Of course, they're the pillars of the club. But the reaction across the squad has been determined. I think that's safe to say. We know that we let ourselves down in the second half, and that's we're all included in that. So it gives us that extra motivation now and commitment going forward into the next game, and I'll be very hopeful that would, as I said, it'll be a good gauge for us the other night what our reaction was, but now we can go on and hopefully put it right in our next game.
Because of last night's result between Manchester United and Southampton, obviously you're still in the top four, and from the fans there may be a sigh of relief maybe after that. But I wonder, what about the motivation that might add to your players, and maybe have a sigh of relief for them as well, knowing that they are still in the top four, and clearly, as you say already, it is still within your destiny. What happens is still very much in your control.
Yeah, and that's all you want. I think that you see the results over the weekend with obviously Chelsea losing and Man United obviously getting pegged back late on and us missing out. So, and I think there'll be other results which will surprise as well between now and the end of the season. So, of course, we've been up there for so long. We've fought to stay there. And like I say, with 3 games to go, despite everything that's happened, we're in an absolutely first-class position. So we want to try and maximise that and to apply our game. And if we can do that with the right intensity and the right focus, we'll have a fantastic chance.
The final one from me, Brendan. You've implemented a 3 at the back formation in the last few games. Sheffield United have also played a similar system this season at points as well. Is it best to match up with these kind of sides, or do you have to find a different way to play against them in terms of the system and the formation?
Yeah, you're looking at, you're always analysing the opposition. In the main, we've normally played a set system with some variation within that. But it's not something that's new to us. If you think on a number of the games this season when we've played away or played, either home or away, we've played that sort of system, and the players can cope with it well. I think a little bit at the moment we also have in terms of our fullbacks, because we've not played. We've had them sort of missing at times, and also a change to try and bring more creativity to the team, to try and commit even more players going forward. So but it's a bit of both, really. My first focus is always on ourselves. How can we be the most creative we can be? How can we score the goals, but whilst maintaining that solidity from behind? And of course, then if the opposition has a certain strength, you have to be aware of that.
Brendan, thank you very much, and good luck on Thursday.
Cheers, thank you. Thanks, Owen.
Thank you to our broadcast colleagues.
See ya.